Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, good morning, wherever you are. We are here, three of us, to have a dialogue, a discussion on the subject of Pahalgam, the terrorist attack, India's options or way forward. I am President of NISSMAT Pal Singh and have remained in Punjab and various places in the heydays of terrorism. I'll be able to contribute my bit towards the dynamics of this attack in Pahalgam. The other speakers are Mr. Pawan Ahluwalia, who is owner of NISSMAT, a security expert who has served in the army as well as experience in the private security for years. The third gentleman, Major General Deepak Mehta, an army scholar erudite who has served in J&K, and I can consider him to be an expert on insurgency in India. Three of us are going to have an informal discussion without any inhibitions as to what are our views on the subject and how India should go forward, or what are India's options and what is the way forward. That is the subject on which we are going to discuss this evening. To commence the subject, as we all know by now, the Pahalgam brutal barbaric attack was organized by a resistance force called the Resistance Force, TRF, which has itself claimed responsibility for this attack. It has expressed its discontentment with the earlier move of the government of India to send a large number of outsiders to settle down in Kashmir Valley. According to them, the government of India is planning to change the demography of the area by making them settle in the valley. Broadly, they are of the view that it is entirely to subdue the people in the valley, but actually it is only a question of front organization. It is being backed, it is being supported by Lashkar-e-Taiba, who has already done a lot of damage and bleeding in India through various terrorist attacks. Lashkar-e-Taiba is based, as all of you know, in Pakistan, and ISI Pakistan has always been supporting it so that they can bleed India to the maximum extent by this proxy war. The areas in Kashmir have been dominated by terrorism for long. All efforts have been made ever since the Kashmir was taken over from the Qabilis, and ever since Kashmir acceded in a way to India, though Article 370 was also imposed. With these words, I'll now pass on the discussion, or I'll say to start the discussion, let me have the views of Mr. Pawan Ahluwalia on this particular incident, this barbaric incident in Pahalgam, and what is the ways and means forward, what are India's options, what are likely to be reaction. Gradually, one by one, we'll go on discussing, intervening informally. Mr. Pawan Ahluwalia, please continue.
I'd like to touch upon the nature of the attack. The attack was targeted against the Indian Hindus of the area. At this time, the target audience was the tourists. And people were asked to remove their trousers to be identified as Muslims or non-Muslims. The men folk were shot, the women were left, and they said अपने मोदी प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पास में जाके इंसाफ देगा, or words to that effect. So it was a targeted attack on the Hindus, which is a deplorable act. The main aim appears to be to sow discontent in the area and to potentially trigger a wider unrest in the area. But it appears that the opposite has occurred. Today, the entire Kashmir Valley, there was a shutdown. There was no business conducted today. The Muslims of Kashmir Valley were talking against the terrorism attacks that had taken place. There were announcements being made from the mosques in Kashmir, talking and telling the people that these kind of things should be shunned because it impacts the prosperity of the region. The prosperity of the region basically depends upon the tourists, mainly from India, who go to Kashmir for holidaying or sightseeing because the area is so beautiful. And if the tourist industry gets a hit, the problems become much larger because the economic well-being of the people of Kashmir begins to take a hit. The timing and the location also was chosen very well. It is not the handicraft of, not the work of people who are not trained. This is the work of people who have been motivated, trained for this particular operation and were guided and handled by operators sitting elsewhere. The site was located, the site where this incident occurred, there is no police nearby in that area. It's an isolated area, but a beautiful area. People go up on ponies or they walk up the track to sort of hike in that area and enjoy the scenery and the weather in that place. It is in this place where the terrorists caught hold of the people and killed them. The timing also is also important. J.D. Vance, the Vice President of the United States, is in India, and it was also time, to my opinion, to take away the limelight from his visit to an incident in Kashmir.
Yes.
The Americans also have not taken this well. President Trump has personally spoken to the Prime Minister of India on this incident. There are other American security specialists who are really voicing an opinion that India should retaliate the way the Israelis had done after they were attacked by the Hamas from the Gaza Strip. So now, Deepak, your opinion on the subject, please.
May I add a few words to this, Pawan? Mr. Sipal had said that Mr. Sipal Singh had said that the catalyst to this action was change in demography. But the fact is, in 1990, all the Hindus who were in the valley had been pushed out, and they are living in refugee camps all over the country. And they are the fellows who have been wanting to come back to their homes. Now, it doesn't change the demography as such. They're coming back to the homes where they were earlier. Now, what Pawan, you very correctly brought out, that the tourism is affected very adversely. You see, in the last couple of years, this terrorism had come down to a very large extent. And this gave an impetus to tourism in J&K, especially in the Kashmir Valley per se. Now, with this action, what has happened 2 days back, the tourism has come to a halt. Now, with this, the economy of this area is going to be affected very adversely. Now, what should be the lesson for the public of the SJ&K? If you support terrorism, you're going to suffer. Actually, this message should be sent to the public. If you want progress, as what was there earlier before this incident, you have to shun or don't support the terrorists per se. If you support the terrorists, you're going to have the same plague as what is happening today. This message should be sent to the public in a very big way, I feel. What do you feel of it, Mr. Sipal Singh?
I agree with you to a great extent, but partially differ with you. What happened when the Kashmiri Pandits has to migrate? That was the terrorist attack were mounted to such extent that they wanted to go against Hindus, and most of the Kashmiri Pandits left. But at that time, Article 370 of the Constitution was very much intact. It was not a matter of changing the demography of that area that they pushed them out. They wanted to give Kashmiri Pandits a feel that this place is purely meant for Muslim, but you people have to leave. That is there, no doubt. But that is not the way of changing the demography. Now, present front which they have taken, I'm not saying that's correct or not. Their plea presently is that after the abrogation of Article 370, the allowing settlement of outsiders, particularly they say, according to them, about 85,000 people have already come and settled there. Are likely to settle. They have been allotted some lands, etc. According to them, this is going to change the demography. They want to incite the Muslim population that you will be subjugated by coming of these people. So that is the way when I talk about demography of the people they have. Whether it's correct or not, that's not my view. It's definitely incorrect. I don't agree. Because ultimately, if they come and settle down and the tourism increases, it is going to give a boost to the economy of Kashmir. But they are misled elements. They have to find some way out to condemn the movement or condemn the abrogation of Article 370. And it's a continuation. Not that it's just immediately, it's a continuation of terrorism. Now, the question is, the attack has been a very serious attack, as well as very nicely projected by Pawanji, is tourist flow was concerned. The economy is concerned. It is said that it was highest during this year compared to all. And then one of the experts had also said that in fact the entire tourist season is going to hold them for the next 1 year, this tourist season, and they are going to lose. So there's no doubt that they have cut on their feet themselves and will lose as far as the tourist inflow is concerned. The attack is a serious one. It has definitely evoked a lot of bitter and unpleasant responses from India. As you know, the Cabinet Committee on Security held a meeting and decided that to suspend, please mark the word, suspension of Indus Water Treaty. It is not abrogation. Mark the word, suspension of Indus Water Treaty till, it adds also, till Pakistan finally decides to stop aiding and abetting terrorism in Kashmir. This is a word. Stopping or suspending Indus Water Treaty till Pakistan finally decides to stop aiding and abetting terrorism in Kashmir. Next, suspension of visas under the SOX wing to the political nationals, withdrawal of defense attaches, Air Force, Army, etc., and all other measures. Now, India's suspension of Indus Water Treaty has been termed as a cowardly decision by the Minister of Power in Pakistan. This shows that how rattled they are feeling by saying that is a cowardly decision, which means that they are feeling very rattled. This move has certainly touched the sensitive nerves of Pakistan government, and all forces simultaneously in Pakistan have been asked to remain on high alert. I'd like to give you a little background. All of you must be knowing that after the partition, it took about 9 years of discussions, which was facilitated by the World Bank, to work out this treaty. According to the treaty, India controls three eastern rivers, Ravi, Satluj, and Beas, and Pakistan controls Jhelum, Chenab, and Indus. India is required to allow the water of western rivers flow into Pakistan. And if this treaty collapses, as is likely to collapse, it looks very clearly, severe economic impact is likely to be on Pakistan economy, which relies heavily on the Indus water. Now, suspension can also escalate into border strife and threaten the stability of the two countries. That is the important point. When they are feeling rattled, because they have also asked, Pakistan Prime Minister also called for high-level meeting and an alert in Pakistan Army. It will review Pakistan internal and external security threats. It will also review India's unilateral decision, including suspension of Indus Water dispute in the Indus Water Treaty. No, and imposition of other sphere diplomatic and visa restriction. My point is, these are the actions and reactions till now from India and outside. In case some people say that immediately there have been some rumors or not rumors, some saying, I'll mention those names also, that we should immediately, army action should be taken. I am asking you people, you have served in the army, is it possible? Is it feasible? Is it possible, feasible, or is it desirable to have any army action at this stage between the two countries? Mr.
Sir, may I say a few words?
Yes, sir.
Firstly,
Yes, sir.
the Security Council of Pakistan met today. They have said if the Indus Water Treaty is abrogated or suspended and the water is transferred somewhere else, it's an act of war. Now, it's a very bold statement they're making, act of war. Second statement which has come out is the Shimla Agreement is null and void. Shimla Agreement, one aspect of Shimla Agreement was the line of control which separates India with the POK, Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, is taken as a line which will not be violated and peace and tranquility will be across this line. But with the suspension of Shimla Agreement, what is the sanctity of the line of control? I feel that there is no sanctity of the line of control now with the Shimla Agreement having been abrogated. Yes, Pawan.
There are a couple of points that I'd like to make here. Firstly, India claims the Pakistan part of Kashmir as its own. We have allocated assembly seats in the Legislative Assembly of J&K for Pakistan occupied Kashmir. If we claim Pakistan POK as Indian territory, then in any case there's no sanctity of the LOC.
That's right.
Sir, one minute,
So one second. You know that is one way of thinking. The other is, what do we feel is the the Indian public may want to see a reaction. You see, and so you got to cater to the masses. But a military action at this stage is not very desirable.
Exactly.
It has to be clearly thought through. And when India does act or react militarily, it should be a point of time of India's choosing. And it should not be something which is a knee-jerk reaction. It has to be clearly thought through as to where, when, and how is the retaliation militarily going to take place. Whether we take a military action or we take a diplomatic action or we take a social media action, or we propagate and do get the international attention to this particular acts of terrorism, we need to be doing that. And there is no one military action is not something which will only sort of cause disruption on the Pakistan to the Pakistanis. When shelling takes place or bullets keep getting fired, there would be casualties which would be far in excess on both the sides, and we will not be able to escape this. So the timing has to be of our own choosing. Another point that I'd like to make is, friend, the Chief of Army Staff of Pakistan, Asim Munir, in a speech that he had given to the non-resident Pakistani conclave that was held in Rawalpindi or in Islamabad somewhere a couple of days back, he had pointedly mentioned that Kashmir is the jugular vein of Pakistan. He had mentioned that Kashmir is the issue because of which Pakistan Army exists.
That's right.
May I intervene?
Go on, sir.
So, I want to just interject 1 minute before General Deepak you take over to claim or to pass a resolution in the assembly that Pakistan occupied Kashmir, so-called Azad Kashmir, will ultimately also be taken over by us, that is by India. It's a tall talk. It's a tall talk. If you give me 1 minute, you very well know how are the China's interest involved in this Azad Kashmir. In this Azad Kashmir, how China's interests are, you know how far they have already got some channels, some ways, some pathways in this area. And therefore, to think that you can take over Pakistan occupied Kashmir and make it plus one with India, I feel is a tall talk, because nobody will be able to see the reaction. Nobody will want to see the reaction of China if we try to do that thing. First. Second is that what are our aim? We take, let's say, army action is taken or not taken. As I agree with Pawanji that this is not the point at that point of time. We have to weigh all the aspects before we even think of army action at this stage. We also have to keep in view, try to understand the prevailing situations in India. Yesterday, it was reported in some news channels, and also I happen to have seen one press report where some Kashmiri students in India have received threats, particularly from in the state of Uttarakhand and Uttar Pradesh. These students were asked to leave their rental apartments, to leave the university accommodation and hostels, as they are the pro-terrorists. And they have been termed, and not only pro-terrorists, in Dehradun, about 20 students have to leave their places of residence due to warnings issued by a staunch Raksha Dala organization of Hindus. While it is a very, very far-rightist group which is giving this warning, but this is likely to cause more tensions, likely to cause more tremors as far as the Indian political climate is concerned. Therefore, before we take any such effort, the clamor that India should take aggressive warlike action and to teach a lesson to Pakistan, well said, well said. But is it worthwhile? Is it possible? What is the political climate in India? What are the Pakistan occupied Kashmir's position? What is happening, General, in your Bangladesh? On that side, you know how it's getting radical, more radical than it was ever, and all other areas around. What are going to be the gains, and what do you think, General, that if at all the army action is taken, what do you think is likely to be considered at that army action. Why should we take army action and whether it's worthwhile or not? I like to have your views because you have been in that area and your background of most of the army operations.
The army action should be the last resort. It's a multi-pronged action by the government of India in diplomacy, in economics. As a matter of fact, in the UN also, rep in the United Nations Security Council has mentioned that Pakistan is the key country which sponsors terrorism. This has to be told very blatantly to all the Western nations, all our friends, that you have to isolate Pakistan internationally. Second aspect is with regards to economic. It should be such that it hurts them the maximum. Like this Indus Water thing, it will affect them economically very strongly because this is the cropping season. There's no water, nothing will grow. And this is going to have a very adverse effect economically to Pakistan. Third aspect is the military action. As what Pawan has very correctly said, there has to be a time and place of military action. Yes, we are fully aware of the vulnerabilities and we can take advantage of the vulnerabilities. But right now, they're also fully geared up. They have very serious problems in Balochistan and Pakhtunkhwa and all the TPP insurgency, with a large number of army units and formations deployed. But now with this problem which has come up with India, their defenses along the line of control would be totally beefed up. And they would, of course, I have a feeling they would take the support of the terrorist organizations to beef up the strength at the forward defensive localities. So this is not the right time per se, as what Pawan has said. We have to find our own time and place of choosing to hit them hard. There are various options available, various options in terms of an offensive action, in terms of creating maximum damage along the front of the line of control. And if, like Pakistan has said, that diverting of water or stopping the water for Indus Water Treaty is an act of war, yes, let them start the war and we'll finish it off for them. So I think
Can you elaborate?
One second. Deepak, as far as the military options are concerned, see, even when we reinforce our borders with the military, it will force the Pakistan army to divert troops from PKP and Balochistan towards the eastern border of theirs. Now,
Correct.
when they do that, it is going to create a greater problem in Balochistan and with the PKP because the Taliban would get emboldened with lesser security forces on that area and would be able to cause greater disruption. Now, a couple of things that I feel that India, while we are discussing the scenarios, if we increase the tension along the border, there is problem on the other side of Pakistan, which is likely to have. We also need to improve our covert operations inside Pakistan.
Absolutely.
See, like they do in India, we need to be doing a similar kind of stuff in Pakistan. And like the Israelis have done, taken out the leadership of the Hamas. We need to take out the leadership of ISI of Pakistan.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
No, as far as covert operations are concerned, I definitely agree. And we have been. Not that Indian intelligence agencies have not been taking this covert action. Despite that, the terrorism has not been contained as far as Kashmir is concerned. I have a feeling in this particular case, I have to be excused if I'm wrong, that there has been total lack of intelligence and total sort of, as if nothing is going to happen. I mean, there was complete vacuum. There were no security forces. There were no police forces. There were no CRP in and around that area. And they were as if everything is going hunky-dory and you can do anything. And there was absolute lack of intelligence. Now, the best course of action, I'm sorry, sir, seems to be at this stage, as we are saying, sir, we are having a hot pursuit of terrorists in the forest area, adjoining the Basran meadow in Pahalgam. Now, technical help, drones, all modern equipments have been provided, are being used to catch these terrorists who are responsible for this disaster act. Question is not of catching. Hunting them can also lead our forces to the border areas from where they might have had an ingress before this attack. So in that border area, some smashing of hideouts of the terrorists which are bordering J&K might also give some satisfaction to the population of India that we have taken action. Taking covert action, as you said, is definitely there to contain terrorism in any way, particularly in Kashmir, and developing our own intelligence network. I am of the view that our intelligence network, irrespective of the fact that we have got intelligence network from the BSF, we have got intelligence network of Army, we have intelligence network, intelligence cells of CRP, etc. We have not yet been able to evolve that intelligence which is required to come from the public at large. What happened in most of the cases in terrorism, where we are able to contain, even in Punjab, ultimately we had to bank upon the intelligence sources of the public at large. And those intelligence sources helped us to trace out where the terrorists are, whether they've gone to foreign countries, whether they've gone to Pakistan and all. So I am of the view that intelligence network is somehow or the other is very sketchy till now. And therefore, this needs to be beefed up.
Sir, may I intervene here?
Yeah.
The fact is that the terrorists cannot operate without the local support.
Yeah.
They require shelter, they require food, they require medical aid. Now, the first thing, in my opinion, having served in that area, and we have to identify which are the support systems they have in terms of underground and overground workers and put the squeeze on them. They have to be a system where these fellows should be in the wild with no support, and they will they'll be smoked out in no time. The problem is that these people are getting the support from the locals. They have to be identified and neutralized. This is my opinion, sir.
Yes, in this case particularly, they have come in and they have been operating inside, particularly the terrorist front. Still, we do not have even till now as to how many cells of this TIA, the terrorist front, are operating in Kashmir. Only when such things happen, then we come to know. Now, a few months back, you remember when Rajouri was affected by the terrorist attack, Rajouri sector, we had a podcast in which we emphasized that these terrorists seems to have come due to pressure in the valley to this area. And now they should not be allowed to go back. Let them remain in Rajouri sector so that they're out of the particular soil in which they are embedded, that is Kashmir, and let us eliminate him in Rajouri sector. Yet, nothing has happened after that.
Nothing.
They have been moving, they have gone back. So I am feeling, not that I am condemning, I am feeling on the basis of my experience, this lack of intelligence, lack of coordination, and complacency, recent complacency on the part of the forces as well as for the government agencies has led to this dastardly attack. I'm also of the view that to some extent, we have to get coordination from the state government. We have put a state government in position, yet the law and order has been placed under the governor. This dichotomy also takes you away from the masses because, after all, the governor is not going to have that sort of information which the local government can have. You remember that even only 4% of votes were, ultimately we had an election in Punjab, and we had only 2 to 3% vote when the new chief minister was elected, Byan Singh. But with 3%, 4% votes, idea was to have the elected government so that the information starts coming to us.
Yes.
3% vote is no vote in Punjab. Yet the elections were held and the government was placed in power so that we were able to have some information. I am also of the view, candidly, I mean, not that it's against this thing, against that thing, that we have to have coordination of the state government fully in this state. And we should, to some extent, depend on the state government. That is, we should cultivate the state government to some extent, to great extent, so that there are informers in a way, because they get information. Here they are giving all the powers to the governor as far as law and order situation is concerned, has also greatly affected this particular the intelligence, affected the intelligence gathering. I am also of the view that after the partition of the country, for so many years is going to we have had it, and we're going to have. Not that it's going to stop, but the way it has happened now. You see, at one stage, Janadeepak and Pawanji, in Kashmir, we have thousands of terrorists operating. You won't say it is normalcy now, but I think to a great extent, because now we have identified that there are only 76 main terrorist modules operating main terrorists operating in Kashmir. Out of 76 also, we say about 60 or 58 are from Indian side and rest are from abroad. So to that extent, we have been able to contain terrorism. We must give appreciation to the security forces and all. They have been able to contain. But the complacency, lack of intelligence, lack of coordination, which has crept in the recent past, has resulted in this sort of disastrous and barbaric attack. Your views winding up?
I think before we do that, let's look at India's options. What are the options that India has for taking steps as retaliatory measures? Some we have taken, some that we can take. Let's try and spell them out. Deepak, your view on the subject.
I am with you. We can take action right now. Now, I was seeing in the TV before we got on together, there's a very massive support to the nation per se by the population all over the country. Major demonstrations are taking place in support for the government. But unfortunately, our opposition. Now, this is the time when the opposition should be in league with the ruling party, but they're talking a different language. I mean, it's very unfortunate for what is happening. I can understand the pressure on the government also. The people want retribution. The public wants retribution. Yes, we have various means of retribution, like earlier we had that Balakot. Balakot, of course, now will be difficult because they have upgraded their radar systems. But on the line of control, we have various options to sort out the localities there. And not at one place, but multiple places. And I think the government must be under tremendous pressure for retribution to start with. And I'm sure something must be being planned on this score. As far as if the Pakistan starts a war because of this water treaty, Indus Water Treaty, it's a welcome. It gives them such a rap that the Pakistan army's rule over the country should stop. The basic problem in the relations with India and Pakistan is the Pakistan army. The government is a titular government. They have to be cut to size, and if they start a war with us, we have the means to sort them out.
Sipal sir, may I have your thoughts on what exactly do you feel are the steps that India should be taking?
I am of the definite view, and I think I anticipate that this hot pursuit is a very good word. That you are having hot pursuit in the forest area now. Look at the terrorists who have attacked have gone away. We are having hot pursuit with our forces. We're having a hot pursuit with helicopters, with drones, etc. This hot pursuit is a very good word to follow them up to the border areas. Therefore, I am of the view that ultimately to satisfy the general public, in addition to smashing the network here inside the valley, they ultimately have to show something, and that showing can be on smashing so-called the hideouts of the terrorists on the border area. And in the border area will also involve some areas which may fall under Pakistan. Therefore, it has to be a very cautious approach. And the very word they have used and they have started using, we will not spare them. We will not spare them who have done this, and we will not spare them who are at the back of it. So you please mark about our defense minister. We will not spare them who have perpetrated this act, and we will also not spare them who are at the back of it. So definitely, for the general public, I am of view that this harsh pursuit will lead to very hard pursuit, and we may be able to get some here and there, some more terrorists. They're always there. The terrorists, I with due apologies, are always known and available to us, those who give information. Maybe some of these terrorists have also sided with Pakistan. Elimination of these terrorists, following those other terrorists, you may be able to identify one or two, killing them, and also smashing some network on the border will ultimately be the end of this show. I am of the view, but let me tell again very cautiously, unless the political environment in India are vitiated by some people who may be not actually, who may be totally against the Muslim population, but I don't think it is in the interest of in our own country to alienate the Muslim population in India, inside India. These are my words, sir.
So,
Deepak, I have a couple of points that I'd like to add.
please go ahead.
See, what I feel is that the Indian aim should be to break up the Pakistan, and that should also lead to the breakup of the ISI. We should eliminate ISI leadership. Soft peddling by the Indian government and saying that these are terrorists. We should start calling them as Muslim terrorists, because they're not Hindu terrorists in J&K. They are Muslim terrorists. So let's call a spade a spade. I also feel that with the help of the United States, we should try and have Asim Munir declared as a terrorist internationally.
Yeah.
And we should openly come out in support of Balochistan. The Prime Minister did it a few years ago from the ramparts of the Red Fort. Let him do it again and open like we've done with the Tibetans. We have the Dalai Lama's government functioning from here. We should allow the Baluch to function from Indian soil. We should also allow PKP to do the same. And the United States information system should tie up very well with the Indian information system to nab all potential situations like these that are likely to happen. So you wanted to say something?
I like to add a last word on this, that I feel that this bordering and Atari crossing, this is to stop passage from the Atari crossing, is all right temporary, But in the long run, if it is closed, the small traders and industrialists on both the sides are likely to be very badly affected. A lot of lakhs of rupees trades from India is going to Pakistan, and we are earning on the sales of our products in Pakistan. So is also Pakistan earning from us. So therefore, these a temporary measure, and ultimately, I said, in the interest of our trade, small traders, small industries on both the sides, this should be opened up. And also, I'm of the view that irrespective of the what has happened or what's going to happen, the approach has to be a very, very cautious approach. All the experts today are of the view, as pointed out earlier by Pomji also, for covert operation as well as for smashing the terrorist network, which we have not been able to smash for the last so many years. And the backing of ISA can only be eliminated if you break the backbone of Pakistan by such actions like Indus Water Treaty. That's all right. That's all right. That you can suspend, you can abrogate. That's all right. Because the local standby of the World Bank is not there. It's not illegal. It's only their negotiations resulted. If you feel that you can do it for some time more, probably break their back. So my view is that smashing the network, improvement of intelligence, coordination between hackneyed word, but normally used for all terrorists, coordination between the security forces, proper coordination and all, and at the same time allowing the population of both the sides to forget about it. They may call it Muslim terrorism. You can call it Sikh terrorism. That's all right. But all Muslims may not be terrorists. All Sikhs may not be terrorists. So therefore, these words have to be used with a lot of caution. Thank you very much, gentlemen and viewers. We had a very scintillating discussions, and I'm sure we will come forward with further discussion, because this particular subject, what is the way forward, what are the options for India in such cases of terrorist attack, is very important. Thank you very much, both of you, from the
Thank you.
national.
Thank you.
Grateful
All the
to you.
best. Thanks.
Thanks.